Hi, my name is Jeremy, and I'm your host of Tell Me Wine TV, where we try to answer your questions about wine right here on the internet. And today's question was sent in from Nadia from the Upper West Side, who asks, are wines really different from vintage to vintage? And Nadia, the answer is absolutely 100% yes. Vintage is really it's a great way for you to differentiate between wines, because vintages will tell you something, obviously, about when the wine was harvested, when the grapes were harvested, and you can find out if a particular harvest was of a certain quality or not. Vintages, years, are rated, and they vary depending upon the weather. If you have a cool, damp fall, you're going to have a low rating. If you have a nice, sunny, dry fall, you're probably going to get a higher rating. It all depends upon when the wine, and of course, in Australia, it's the opposite season. So yeah, absolutely. Wines are an organic, living thing. They change, obviously, vintage to vintage on the vine and the growing conditions presented. And wines will mature differently. So one particular wine from a particular vintage might be able to last for a very long time, whereas from a weaker, more diluted vintage, maybe not so long at all. So we actually have 3 vintages of the same wine. And as I've said to people, it ain't Budweiser, so every year is going to be different. And so obviously the 2004, we have the 2004, 5, and 6 of the Ducetto Chianti from Bartali, and this is Sangiovese, and we've put them all in these glasses. And just so you know, Robert Parker's generalization of these vintages are 04, 05, 06, 96 points, 91 points, and 96 points. Ready to drink now. The 05 is supposedly ready to drink now, but only 91 points compared to 96 each. And so 96 should be extraordinary. But I don't know enough about the Ducetto Bartali winemaking tradition. I'm sure it's perfectly good, but I don't think these wines are going to be 96s. But we're just going to compare them. We're going to do sight, smell, and taste. And so right offhand, remember, 04, 05, 06. The 04 is exhibiting a little bit of age. I'm seeing a little bit of that brownness, that copper kind of color that you get around the edge of the glass for an older wine. The 05 looks a little light, so that was the lowest rated of the 3. And the 06 is the densest of the 3. Okay, so the same label. Haven't even changed anything. So now let's go to the smell. It's not a 96. It's raisiny, dried fruit kind of a thing. Definitely mature. Not looking forward to drinking that one. 05. Much brighter. Light berry fruit. It still has a little of that stank going on, that earthiness, but not as deep. '06. That's the best of the 3. It's fresh. It's nothing negative coming off at all. I guess I'm going to look forward to that 96 rated Chianti. But right away, there are 3 are different from sight. I'm assuming they've all more or less been stored the same way. That could have an impact on the wine. But the 04 is definitely the most mature. This less so, and this less so. Here we go. 04. It smells like soft shell crab. Kind of a briny. tastes better than it smells. It's nice soft fruit. Nothing crazy. Nothing to write home about. Soft tannins. Again, it's mature. The 05. Less of that maturity, but it's the same smell aroma profile. That's much nicer. The acid is a little bit more lively. It's kind of a plummy, cinnamon-like kind of a thing. Nice. That's a nice wine. That's a nice wine. And the 06. The most tannic, which I would have expected because of its youth, but the freshest and the most pleasant of the three. I'm not going to rate these wines or anything, but really the point is, yeah, vintage is very important. Vintage is very important, and so you should understand something about the vintage when you're picking up the wine, and ask your sommelier or your purveyor, your retailer about the vintage if it was good. And if they can't answer the question, you know, ask them to hop on their computer and look it up or something like that. But vintage is critical. You know, from one vintage to the next, it could be night and day. And I'll just as an example, in 1991 and 92 in Bordeaux, it was so bad. It was so bad. Some chateaus didn't even make wine. They didn't even bottle their wine, or at least under their first labels they didn't. So pay attention to us, because it's you know, night and day, and so you may you know, get a, I'm going to say this is a bit of a clunker at 04, but the 05 and 06s are nice solid wines. So who sent in that question? I forget. Anyway, vintage is important. Pay attention to it. You know, it's not going to be that important with younger wines from whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, wines that are designed to drink young, I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's really, you know, it's going to be more important for more expensive wines and wines that you're going to be maybe potentially cellaring. But it's an important thing on the label, so do pay attention to it. Now is a good question, and thanks for sending it in, Ed. Keep sending your questions in too. I'm going to go for the 96, 06 Chianti. Keep sending your questions in too. Tell Me Wine TV.